Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Real Talk Show. I'm your host, Dr. India White. I'm so grateful to be here among you today. Come on in, join us, join us, join us. Invite your friends. We're excited about the segment we have tonight on the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. I hope you guys have had a phenomenal day today. I hope you've had a phenomenal week. No matter the ups and downs, you are still here. You made it. That means you have a purpose. And so with that said, I want to bring on a phenomenal guest of our show who is doing some fantastic things. She is a rock star. She deserves to be celebrated. And so I'm going to bring on this phenomenal entrepreneur, a mother, speaker. She's doing so many great things. But before I bring her on the show, I do want to give some highlights as to where you guys can go to follow the show because I know you guys are enjoying these segments. I appreciate all the testimonials that I've been getting from the show as well. So before I bring on the queen that's going to be on the show, remember that the Real Talk Show will be featured on radio station SoulNet WD or WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? So you can go to www.soulnetwkdh.com to tune in. Thank you to all of those that have done that. I've heard great things about it. Also, in addition to the SoulNet WKDH radio station, you can also find the Real Talk Show being featured on Swain Girl Media Channel, which is hosted by Precious Swain on Fire Stick. So download that to see the show as well. And if you are out there and you have a show or a radio outlet and you would like to feature the show, please send me an email at india.white.123@gmail.com so we can get that going as well. If you would like to donate or you would like to participate or just be on the show, please send me an email at india.white.123@gmail.com. You can also follow me, guys, on social media. My social media is Miss India White. You also have LinkedIn, which is The India White. You can find me on Twitter, which is Indie Speak and Teach. There's also my Instagram, Indie238, and YouTube is India White 123. Now, that's enough about me and enough about the show. I want to bring on this phenomenal rock star, this superstar in her own right, and the phenomenal work that she's doing. So the Real Talk Show will now welcome on the show our special guest, Mrs. Ayoka Yeshua L. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing today, India?
I'm doing well. You look beautiful. How's your day?
My day has been a typical mom day. It's been up and down, getting leaves out of the children's hair. We were outside for a walk. I'm here in Georgia, so the weather is like perfect.
Yes.
Like this every day? I mean, that would be like, I would be in heaven. We have like this every day. So it's been a really, really good day. I've been so excited and looking forward to the interview today with you. So I can't wait.
We're excited to have you. So tell us, Mrs. Ayoka, a little bit about yourself because we don't know. So tell us.
Yes. Again, my name is Ayoka Yeshua L. I am a mom of 3. So grateful to be a wife of 26 years now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I know that's unheard of sometimes. And nobody's dead. So, we're doing something about it. Right. So been married for that long. I've been an entrepreneur in the entrepreneurship field for 20 years. My business is called Streamline Success International, and we are a training, strategy, and consulting company. And I love to help visionary and creative entrepreneurs of faith to be able to really streamline their vision for success and help them turn their knowledge and their power help them to monetize it, turning into courses and strategy sessions that help them to really see how to get from point A to point B in their business. Because so many times as creatives and visionaries, it's really hard with the 1001 notebooks to know exactly where to start and what to do, right? So I love to help entrepreneurs do just that. Also, I have a book that was just recently released with 19 other co-authors.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Called The Image of the Mirror. And we became international Amazon best-selling authors.
Very nice.
So we are excited about that. The book launch is this weekend in North Carolina, and people can go to the Image in the Mirror to find out some more information. You could go to victorioupress.com/events to get tickets. And for the authors that are going to be there, unfortunately, I can't travel to North Carolina, but they can go and find out, information about that. And and I got some other things we'll talk about that's coming up too.
Excellent. Well, this is great news, and congratulations on the international best-selling mark. I know that is a great feeling. I hope you get more of those. I know it's not a very easy task at all. So tell us, I mean, you come on this show as an entrepreneur, you're beaming bright, you're successful, you've got a book that just hit international bestseller. How did you start your journey, though? How did you know this was it for you? Can you take us back to when you were in grade school? What did that look like? And then how did that evolve to who you are now?
Okay, funny enough, I'm glad you said that, India, because I feel in my whole heart, a lot of times who we are is who we were when we were children, before we were tainted, before somebody told you no, before somebody said you can't do that because of their limitations. Ask any child what they want to be when they grow up. How many answers do they have? I swear like 5,000, right?
Yes, infinite. Yes.
And to them, there's no concept of, well, why can't I have an ice cream shop and be an astronaut? Like, I don't get why I can't do both, right? And then we put the limitations on ourselves or because of experiences, so forth and so on. So for me, when I was little, I never said, yeah, when I grow up, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. But I can see traits of certain things. When I was little, I used to always make things to-do lists. I used to always strategize. I used to always plan out the whole day. I mean, from when I was 5, I got to get up, brush my teeth. Like my mom always told me I did the exact same thing. So I laugh now because as a strategist, being able to see the whole picture and connect the dots of the details was already within me when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wound up working. I went to my undergrad degrees in elementary education. I love to teach, but I learned early on I didn't want to be in anybody's classroom. But that teaching can be in so many different capacities and ways. Right. And so I love teaching entrepreneurs and really helping them to learn what they don't know. So I worked at a marketing agency it was a family business for 20 years. That's where I was able to really sharpen my teeth on a lot of different everything from the secretary to this last position as a COO, and we have a company in South Africa as well. So, but still, even though working with the family business, which I love doing what I did, it wasn't until I was 2015 that I realized what I was birthed to do.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
Huh?
Talk to us about that a little bit.
I went to this event and this woman was up there speaking. And right then, when I saw her greeting the people and walking the stage and everything, I was like, it was like an aha moment. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, I could see myself speaking from stage. And that was really kind of the beginning of my journey. And I started to invest in how to be a professional speaker. And I have a natural gift and talent for it. And I love talking and I love teaching. So I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. And from there, it was just a combination of constantly digging. So I had my own radio show for a little while. I used to write for the Atlanta Voice for about 6 months. So I had my own newspaper article, column called Naked and Unashamed. So I've dibbled and dabbled in different things in the process of really uncovering what I'm really passionate about and who I am. And I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves that grace, right? To say, okay, this is who I am. And on my radio show, India, you would have thought I was schizophrenic because every week, I was, you know how we had these monikers and the things that we do, it was something different almost every week.
Yeah.
And so one time I heard this guy say, your brand is like an onion. You're constantly pulling back the layers until you understand who you truly are, because that's the representation of what your brand is you. And then I fell into, I fell into this niche of understanding that as business owners, a lot of times we don't know who we're targeting. And if we don't understand who we're targeting, then we have a hard time really being able to communicate effectively to our audience of what it is that they're trying to portray and put out there. So from the radio show to the newspaper ads to interviews to going down speaking to creating my own courses, everything still fell in line with educating entrepreneurs, especially creative and visionary entrepreneurs, helping people figure out strategy of where they are to where they're trying to go. And everything just kind of fell into place to what it is now. And that's kind of the evolution in a sense.
Well, I'm very happy for you. And I can tell that you are fulfilling your purpose and you don't have anything holding you down, which is an amazing feeling. I can imagine. And so you said you went to an event and it just sparked open. And so talk to us then about your transition to the level of greatness that you are at now, from the moment that you saw the person on the stage.
Oh, wow. The first transition really was having to face, and I talk about this in the book, in The Image in the Mirror, is having to, my section is called Enough is Enough, Embracing My Past to Shift My Future. I first, honestly, India, had to start to heal. I had to look back at what I had been through as a child, some of the trials, the tribulations, the turmoil, and say, okay, what happened to me happened to me, and I had to accept it because I never accepted it. You know how like you see somebody else's story in a sense and it happened, but it's like it didn't happen to you.
Right.
And I had lived that for so long and suppressed so much that it really impacted who I was as an individual. Matter of fact, I didn't even know who I was. Let's keep it real. I was a shell. I was not fulfilled. Honestly, I was not as happy as I am now. I was chasing my business, and we'll talk about that in a second because that's very, very, that is so key. I was chasing something, trying to validate a part of me because of the low self-worth, low self-esteem, and the things that I was battling with that I didn't even realize that I was battling with. So once I started to face what I had been through, the psychological abuse, the molestation, the different things that took place when I was 10, that were seeds that were planted and watered for years, that I became this shell. I became this other person who wasn't who I was birthed nor created to be.
Right.
And the moment I started to then start that process of healing, it has taken all the way up to, honestly, real talk now, to be able to say, okay, yes, that happened. And because of what happened, the Father's going to get the glory from that, and others' lives will be impacted because of it. And I could stand before them and let them know that just because of whatever has happened to you does not have to define who you are. It can help shape, right? It can help shape perspectives, but it doesn't mean that's who you have to be. And it wasn't until, honestly, it wasn't until January this year when I was asked to put my business down. The Father said, I need you to put it down, that I started to truly become Ayoka. And I'm 42. Wow. So it's a process. I'll be 43 this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And when he asked to put it down, that was one of the hardest things. Listen, I love business, but I loved it so much that it was more important than, and I'm a very honest person. It was more important than my children and my husband.
Oh, wow. Can we talk about that for a minute? Okay, not to segue this in. There's a post by a man who has a talk show, a podcast, and he said there was an African-American woman that called in. She was about in her 30s. And she was talking about how she makes six figures and how she was looking for a guy that made six figures and how she felt like she was dating down. And he basically said she was average at best. And it really went viral. It was kind of a tough interview to listen to. I don't know if you heard this, but I'm bringing this up because she took a lot of pride and ownership in her business, which I don't see anything wrong with that. But I want you to speak about the importance of having a balance between your business or your career and your work life, or in your family life, and your relationship with with God or whatever. Can you speak to us about that? Because especially I think, sometimes women, in particular women of color like myself, we might have a hard time understanding how to balance that out. So talk to us about your experience with that, and any advice that you would give to women that are kind of, they're aspiring to be great, but yet they have these obligations. They're not sure how to make it all happen.
Listen, this has been a journey. This has definitely been a journey, India. So let me start with the business part. There is nothing wrong. All my women entrepreneurs out there who are moms, who are wives, listen, if that's what you were called and created to be, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you what I did wrong. I was out of order. And see, when I was out of order, I was chasing the business because the business validated in my mind, if I could just be successful, if I could just make this amount of money, if I could just, it was always like this fleeting, moving ball. If I could just get here, then I'm successful. Then I'm worth something. And the reason why is because my mom tried to teach me. I'm telling on myself, but listen, I pray that this really helps somebody and they don't have to deal with what I went through. When my mom tried to teach me how to be the wife and the mom, because I'm the only girl, my brothers were outside playing. I was like, no, something's wrong with this picture. Like, I resented that position for life until I recently just realized I resented it. So how did that impact me? I never per se understood the power of a wife or a mom in the home and what that looked like. Because for me, it was weakness. That's what I saw. Because the men around me were the ones doing the business and they were out in the whole night, to the point that, like, my mom has a PhD. I didn't even know, you're going to laugh, India. I did not even know that she was working, that she had a job, because she was there when I left for school, was there when I came home, until I talked to her and she started laughing. She's like, baby, I just rearranged my schedule because I wanted to make sure I was there for you all. But as a child, talk about perception. All these years, I just thought she was doing nothing in a sense. She was just like, no. She was up at 2-something in the morning grading papers, but this is the part I did not see, because I planted the seed of resentment at a young age. So as I started to understand that my business does not define who I am. Let's remove that title, right? Mom, wife, remove all these titles. It's who the Father says I am that defines who I am at the core. Then everything on that is icing on the cake, right? Because what did he tell us? He said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I already had a plan for you. I already knew who you were, what you were going to do, where you were going to be, by when. So for me, it's taken all this time to understand that the business does not validate me. It does not make me worthy of something. But you know what does? Being his daughter, you know what does? Making sure that my home is taken care of, because that is most important. Making sure my children are eating, because before, India, if we had meetings, oh, you won't wait till 12 o'clock. You're just going to be hungry. Because I got a call. Why? Because busyness made me feel important. Meant I was doing something. Obviously, listen, you don't see my schedule jam-packed and all these things I got to do? No. There is a thing. I don't necessarily believe in balance, because balance means that it's equal. No. Yeah. But there is life in rotation. And what do I mean that? When you live life in rotation, what are you focused on right then and there is what's most important. So if you think of a circle in a plate, and if I say, okay, this first part of my plate, this portion, I'm going to focus on making sure that my with who I am. All right, now what's next? Let me make sure that my children are taken care of, whatever they need for school, because I'm homeschooling now. I don't know what I smoked, but we're doing this for right now until the other things change. Making sure that, their food.
I think it's fabulous. Yeah.
It's been an adventure. That's another story for another time.
Wow.
Then they're taken care of. Making sure my husband is taken care of before he leaves the house for work. When those things are taken care of, then I can say, okay, let me focus now on this. And what does that look like? What does it force you to do? And I'm still learning this. It forces you really to evaluate your schedule to make sure you are being a phenomenal steward of your time.
Yes. Yes.
Time is money at the end of the day. Because you could get a lot done in 1 hour of focus. Then sometimes you spend 8 hours trying to do something and you look up and you're like, okay, what I do today?
Yeah.
And I hate days like that. So when I put the business down, India, and I spent this time really refocusing and saying, okay, Father, what are you trying to show me? I learned that my validation comes from him. I learned that I'm a phenomenal wife and mother. I learned that business will be there. But if I can do this first, because they're my assignment first,
yes,
then everything else will fall into place. And you know what? You won't miss anything because he will still provide and he will still bring the people and he will bring the clients or whatever you have to do. But I am living a more fulfilled life than I ever have right now. And I never thought and I'm not working. I'm not doing business. And I never thought that would ever be the case. You could not tell me, India, in December that I would be putting my business down. I would have been like, yeah, you done smoked a good one. I don't know what you're laced with, but it's real good if you think that I'm not working.
Wow. So I'm so happy you're talking about this, Ayoka, because I know there are so many rock star ladies out there that do not know how to slow down. And it's impacting their health. It's impacting their marriages. Some women are like, I'm not going to date no man. And, he's not gonna tell me what to do, or, just strong willed, or now that you're married, oh no, I've got my business and my business is first, or, and they don't understand that role. I mean, I'm not in a relationship at this time, but I'm just speaking and, just in the limelight of women that are dating, women that are married, and they are successful, and understanding that word submission, the power in that word, understanding the power in supporting a man, like that, he has his head on right. He's trying, he's doing all that he can, to provide and to, to protect and to have that honor, to have that assignment. Some women are struggling with understanding the assignment as a wife and the assignment to submit. So can you give us some examples as to how, we can understand, like Luana is saying here, that, it's important, and how family is important. How can you understand the role of submission as a powerhouse like yourself? How do you not feel insignificant now that you don't have a job per se? How can you kind of coach these ladies out here that are struggling with that?
First of all, submission, a lot of times, unfortunately, like with any good thing, in the wrong hands can become tainted. But when you look at the essence of what the Father created it for, right? If you think about it, he said what? He said that the head, the husband, submit as Christ submitted to the church. Well, what did he do? He laid down his life for us. So when your husband is in the proper place of alignment, when you are supporting him, just because that you are in a different position does not mean that you are weaker. There is so much power sometimes in a pause. There's so much power in sometimes knowing when to be quiet and knowing how to support him. Why? Because with anyone, if you have somebody who got your back, you are going to ride or die for them. Is that male, female, whatever? When you know somebody has your back and that they genuinely care about you and they're supporting you and they're covering you. Listen, I have seen a difference in my marriage. Like I said, we've been together since I was 15. I'm 42. We've been together a long time and been through a lot of different things. The ups, the downs, the whole nine. And again, nobody's dead yet. Ain't nobody choked nobody out, you know? So we're doing something right? But I can honestly say that I was not honoring my husband to the fullest until just even recently. When I started to become a part of the Rise Women experience, it's a group of women, as a community that we are, no joke, we are going for the Father. And we are learning about putting things in the proper order and place and honoring our husbands, right? Or those who, want to be married. I have understood that by just taking care of him more, the love language of communication that comes back has been different. The growth in my life and what he sees and what he says has been different, where he can come back and he'll say, baby, I see what you're doing. I see you trying. He's always been very supportive of me. And he's always been real. He would tell me about myself to my face, ain't sugarcoating nothing, whether I like it or not. But I'm grateful for him for that, because he makes me be a better woman.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. It sounds like you have a king. Okay. Some women aren't dealing with kings. Some women are dealing with people that are abusers, people that that aren't celebrating their success. So I have a question, because I don't necessarily think that certain people that are abusers, whether male or female, that they want to be that way, or that they're aspiring to abuse their spouse or not be supportive. So have there ever been times that you may have had an idea or you accomplished something and your spouse was like not supportive, or, maybe it just kind of rubbed him wrong? And if so, how were you guys able to talk through that or work through that so that it didn't turn into something detrimental towards your marriage?
I'll give you a prime example. Before the children, I used to work on a campaign, the Truth Campaign, National Tobacco Awareness. I was constantly traveling. Now, you know that in most cases, women are not the one that's out there in the field traveling. It's the men.
Right.
When I was out in the field, I remember one time he checked me so hard. He was like, just because you're away does not mean you're not my wife. I was like, ooh, okay. He was like, I still expect to talk to you. I still expect these things that we had already established, where I was just like, I'm in the field. I don't have no title. I get to just be me, just have fun, and all these type of things, right? Thinking I'm on vacation from marriage in a sense. He was like, no, this is how it works. And then what happened, though, is because I was working so much and I was a workaholic. And again, it goes back to he was not first. It almost ended our marriage. And I had to have a realization that, was it worth it?
How did you know? But how did you know it was at that point? Was it just, did you both kind of look and say, okay, this is the problem? My success is now kind of colliding with what I've aspired to be as a wife.
He saw it and I did not, because I was blind to it. I was chasing the success. I was chasing the wrong thing. And for me, it was a kind of like you trying to, because I've never been that type of, you trying to tell me what to do. Like, I wasn't one of those, I wasn't like that.
Right.
But at the same token, it was like, I'm dedicated. I'm loyal. Don't you see I'm going all in? Like, I'm working hard. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my job. So it was more so that type of focus. And he was like, listen. And I had to eventually stop and really see through his eyes what he was saying, and realizing that he wasn't saying anything to prevent me or stop me, even though it felt that way. But he really cared enough about our relationship to say, I love you. You are my wife. But if you're not here and we don't have a marriage, then what is this?
Oh, wow.
Like, if you're either constantly work, like, you could be somewhere and not be there.
Yeah.
So if you're not really here, then what's going on? So we came, and I'm grateful that my husband is a talker. So he would express, but there are a lot of women who don't have men that will communicate with them. And it's a guessing game, somewhat. So you have to then check yourself. Okay, Are we constantly communicating with one another? I had to learn to be a communicator with my husband.
Yeah.
Am I tending to his needs? Am I really listening to what he's saying that he needs to support him? Is he listening to what I'm saying I need to support me? One of the things that I will say that we used to do in our marriage and we still do is I would tell him, I say, okay, I need to talk to my best friend right now, because men and women communicate totally different. We want to give all the details. They don't care about the details. They want to fix the problem. Sometimes we don't want you to fix it. We just want you to listen. So
Right.
it's two different ways of dealing with things. So I would have to say, I just want to talk to my best friend. And in doing that, it's like, you're not my husband right now. So don't try to fix
That's
it.
powerful. That's powerful.
Just listen.
You said something that I want to point out, and Luana says, yes, listen. Okay. So I want to go back to something you said that I think is something relatable to all women, as in particular, sisters out there, strong-willed, strong-minded sisters who are very well-meaning. You said that your husband would tell you maybe no, and that in your eyes, even though it seemed that way, you had to slow down enough to listen to where he was coming from so that you can understand why he had that perspective. Can I be honest? I think that is the problem. A lot of people don't slow down enough to listen to the perspective of their spouse to understand why they're saying no. And so what happens is it comes off as, oh, you told me no? Oh, nobody's going to tell me no. Oh, no. And then it turns to defense, right? Like, oh, no, honey, I don't work. And so then the husband,
I don't work too hard for this.
Right. And then the husband's like, okay, have it your way, and then both sides are just kind of dealing with it. And so how did you learn to slow down enough to listen? Because I believe there are so many women that are acting in defense when their boyfriends or their husbands are saying, no, babe, I think, you should hold out on that for a couple months, or I'm not sure about that. And because he might not necessarily come off and trample on top of them and say, listen, like they're being defensive and they're bowing up and they're saying, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. So how did you learn to kind of shut down the desire to say, oh, I'm going to do what I want? How did you learn to shut that down and to listen and take perspective as to, what your husband was saying?
Many years of him constantly saying it, to be honest. And then after a while, I started to realize that the no, I'm trying to find the right words to put this into, or how to explain it.
It's all right.
I started to realize that the no didn't mean that I had failed.
That's good.
Because I wanted to, again, what was I chasing? What was my focus on? And sometimes these things will come to course correct. But for me, the course correct always looked like I was failing. And for me, I battled with the low self-esteem, the fear of failure, the whole nine. So I had to realize that if my husband was trying to help me, the Father was using him to help me course correct. But it took a long time for me to be able to get there to see that's what it was. And that sometimes that just because you're stopping on something does not mean that it's not supposed to happen. It may not be the right season or the right time.
Excellent.
And for me, like even with recently, I had 2 business ideas, and I was like, Susie, here, I was like, bam, I was gone. This was before I put the business down, right? I was like, yes, we about to. And then I realized that, no, you gave me the strategy, Father. So when the time does come, I'm ready. If I could say anything, India, to all my people out there watching, when you are given something to do and you get opposition, check the spirit of where it's coming from first. Because true, there are people who don't want you to do what you're called and created to do. And that could be a spouse. Let's just be honest. But check the heart first. Check your heart. check your filter that you're seeing it through and receiving it through. Go to the Father. Is this truth? Is there truth in what they're saying? As much as I may not want to hear it, is there truth in it?
Yeah.
And if there's truth in it, okay, well, is this something for later you want me to do? Is there a piece I'm missing? Because the Father never wants you to fail. He's preventing a lot of times, but we're so freaking hard-headed that we don't see the signs. It's like, oh, look, there goes a stop sign. There's a ditch coming up, and we're just going to keep driving because we're like this on what we want to do, thinking that it's going to be right. And I have fallen on my face many times because I just didn't see the sign to slow down and say, you know what? This isn't where you're telling me to go right now. And if I put it down, that doesn't mean I failed.
Wow.
But what's most important?
That's beautiful. And it doesn't mean that you're not. I remembered I had a pretty cool position in leadership, and that position, was done. I had finished that season, and I felt like such a failure because I was no longer that person of power and and I had to get to the place where I was not my position. And I think that's what you're saying here to women, wives in particular, that you are not, just your job title or your business title. You are who you are created to be. So explain to us then, how did you take that kind of mindset into this new chapter of just being a loving housewife, taking care of your family? And how did you deal with the withdrawals of not being out there, rock star business? Like, how did you deal with the withdrawals that you might have experienced from that while accepting this new role in your transition to being a loving wife?
And India, before I say that, I understand, because when I stopped doing truth, which was 10 years, it took up my January to like November. I got depressed because I was like, well, who am I? Like, I didn't even know what I enjoyed doing anymore, anything, because I had become that title. And that has always been a challenge, is that title, because it was my identity, because I didn't really know who I was. Yeah. So when he told me to put it down, it was hard. First of all, I put it down in talk. It wasn't until like 2 months in that I had the revelation that I did not put it down in my heart. Ooh. So I was still taking up space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in my business. And I was like, well, I put it down, but the things that I'm trying to do, nothing seems to still be working. It still feel the same weight. And I didn't realize that I had not fully surrendered it. When I put it down, that's when I realized how dysfunctional my family was. I was blind to the fact that my children needed me. There was a lot of healing that needed to take place. There was a lot of arguing, a lot of bitterness, anger, frustration. It was a lot that I had not addressed because, again, I was too busy chasing business, trying to fulfill something that it would never fulfill. Wow. So when I put it down and Yahweh started to really pull back the layers and show me, this is truly your family. Now you trying to be this and you're trying to be that, but what good would it be? I'll never forget this. He said, what good would it be if you help these women become entrepreneurs and they lose their spouse or their children in the process? Did you really help them win? And I broke at that moment because no, I didn't. Yeah. So when I put it down, and then I had to really start to focus on what Ioka has not healed from still that I need to work on. What things that I do with my children or haven't done with my children that I need, because they're like, you're always on a phone call or you're always in a meeting. And I don't want them growing up and it's like mommy was there, but she wasn't there. Why? Because I was chasing something.
Right.
Like this, you don't get this time back.
This is powerful.
You never get this time back. And it took 9 years to get my daughter. 9 years. Then my son came right away. And then my husband and I had a third child. I got pregnant at 39, going into 40. And I was like, what? Like I just figured out business, type of thing. And I'm like, hey, you telling me I'm supposed to have a baby again? But she was what we needed that I didn't know. She saved my life. My children have been saving my life. And so when you started to show me that you are more than just this business, that I have that for you. Look, they're going to be knocking on your doors. You ain't even got to go find them. They're going to be coming to you. You're not going to have to worry, but you have got to get this right. Why? Because they're an assignment. Your spouse is an assignment and your children is an assignment. And if they are given to us for a certain amount of time to birth out what they were created and destined and designed to be as well. So if I don't do that as their mom, then I failed them. Whose life are they supposed to be saving that I did not allow them to save? What invention? What business? Whatever. But if I just did not stop and say, you know what, you are more important than this daggone piece of paper that I am chasing, or this title to say that I'm a business owner, I'm successful. Who cares if at the end of the day, my children are crackheads? Who cares if at the end of the day, my children don't want a relationship with their mother? Who cares? Because at that moment, none of that will even matter.
None of it.
None.
You are preaching. I'm telling you, I think you are hitting home on some things that a lot of women kind of brush to the side. And I think that is, at the end of the day, when your children are, adults, what will they say about you as a parent? Will they invite you over? Will they want you? I mean, Lawana said it's an assignment. It's your first ministry. So if the Lord has allowed you to have children, some people are begging for children, can't have them, but God has blessed you to have kids. What will you do with these kids to where they will want to have you in their lives, where they'll be able to say, yeah, my mom, she boom, boom, boom. I always say that. What are the top 3 things your kids are going to say about you? Are they really going to want you in their lives when they get older? Time will always tell. Yes. And so I think it's powerful that you're saying this, and that you also realize that your husband and your children are, like you said, an assignment. I believe that when I, pass on, the Lord is going to ask, okay, tell me here, what did you do with this assignment? What did you do with your kids? What did you teach them? How did you teach them? What did you tell them about me? What did you tell them about their purpose? Because I gave them to you for a reason, because I believed in you enough to do that. So what did you do? And I'm going to have to give an account. I think that's the biggest word that is going to help all of us in this season is accountability. We've got to give an account as wives. We would have to give an account as moms. We'd have to give an account. We can't escape that. And whatever we do in our in our lives, just as our purpose overall. So I think that's powerful. And tell me though, how did you become centered and get on this bandwagon? Because so many women want to get there. They just need help. So what advice would you give them as to getting to that place where they can own up, to knowing that one day they will have to give an account? And how can you help them if their life is just rotating out of control? How can they get back center again?
Okay, great questions, India. And I'm enjoying this conversation tremendously.
Me too.
A few things. If you're not married, let's start there. I'm going to kind of go through the life cycle of us as women, right? If you're not married, you are in the best place. Let me tell you why. I know you're like, oh no, listen, you have the time and the grace to get your ish together. The picture. For real, to really look at yourself and say, who am I? What do I enjoy doing? What will I not stand for? Spend as much time with the Father as you can. Let me tell you why. Because when you have children, they don't care. They do not care. I'm in a prayer closet. They don't care. They'll just open it up. Little mama come in, it's time to nurse, whatever. Like, they don't care. When you have this moment to really understand who you are and enjoy it, enjoy it. I know there's other parts about being single that not everybody enjoyed. I get that, right? But for this moment, look and say, okay, what type of wife do I want to be? What type of wife will be honorable to the man that I'm calling into life?
Wow.
What do I need to do now to be her? Not wait till I'm married. It's too late then. Do that now. Who do I need to be? Because let me tell you, this is guy that I started to follow named James Clear. he rocked my world. And I'm gonna give you the example that he said. He said so many times people try to lose weight and they say, I want to lose 10 pounds, right? But they never fully keep it off. Why? He said, because they're constantly focusing on the outcome and not focusing on becoming the person who says, every day I'm gonna wake up and exercise. Now think about this. If I wake up and say, I'm gonna do 1 push-up today, and then tomorrow I wake up and say, I'm gonna do 2 push-ups. And then wake up the next day and do 3. Eventually, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to lose the 10 pounds.
Yes, you are.
Because I became somebody who health was important to them.
Yes.
It's the same thing across life. What type of wife do you want to be? Be her now. Learn to be her now. Then when you become the wife, now you've already prepared. You can help support to birth that man in the way that he needs it. And then y'all can start talking about from the money, how do we do our finances? How do we want to raise our children? How do we discipline? Spiritual, all gambits, right? And then when you're the wife, now it's, well, what type of mom do I want to be before they come? Because when you can't push them back in, that's it. When they out, that's it. So what type of mom do I want to be? How I'm going to handle when they get on my nerves and I'm angry and upset? Yeah. Where am I with my anger? Like I didn't realize how much anger I had until he started to show me. And I was like, oh, I got some stuff I really need to work on. And you know how to pull it out of you. How do you make sure that you're still communicating them with compassion?
Yes.
With love, with, covering them.
Beautiful.
So with each phase you are working on, enjoy where you are, but think future forward as you're living in the now at the same time. How do I be this woman now? So when the children come, it's not like you rock my whole world, because that's what happened. That's another story on another day. But that's what happened. It rocked my world in a good way, but in a lot of ways I dealt with postpartum depression. There was a lot that I went through and dealt with that I was unaware of. But then when you are in each phase of your life, assessing and evaluating, how do I be? And that's the key right there. How do I be? Then fill in the blank. How do I be the woman that the Father has called me to be? What does that look like? Right? What do I need? What is missing? What do I need to work on? For me, screw everybody else, but to be the best me. Yeah. What do I need to be the best wife, the best mom, the best entrepreneur, the best friend, the best sister, daughter, mother, wife, the best me?
That's powerful.
And when you start to look at that, you are constantly going to be working on yourself. And that, I know that's a long answer, but
it's amazing.
That should help you through the phases. And then you start to realize that at the end of the day, when you are called home and he says, did you do your assignment? You can look back and say, every talent, every phase you gave me,
wow,
I worked on being the best me in that phase, in that situation.
That's powerful. And I think, thank you. You said this like such a queen. And, I think it really helps put things in proper perspective. I think of a garden or planting something. Whenever you plant a seed, if you watch those little flowers, they are just like blossoming. They are doing their best to give their all to be as great as you will allow them to be. Now that you have all the ingredients, you have the soil, you have the water, the sun, they will give you their all, and they always will exceed your expectations as long as you have them in the right environment. And I think that, if you were given the right environment, the right husband that will help you, and you've got the kids, or you just have the Lord, whatever, and you're able to just raise your kids in a great, safe environment, those kiddos will soar. You will soar as well. And I think you said it so well. We have to focus on ourselves and not so much on, oh, I wish I had this because no, focus on who you are right now. And when time comes, those things will fall into place when you're ready and mature enough to handle them, and I also think too about creating your home as a place, as a safe place, as a heavenly place, as a sanctuary, as a place of peace. Lawana talked about how you can keep the peace. because we all say, oh, I want to be married. Like, single ladies, I want to be married, or, well, what is your home like? Is your home a hot mess? Is it dirty? Is it a lot of arguing and bickering? Is it what's going on? Prepare your home to be a place that somebody would want to come home. Want to come home to you, and they want to come home to that space. So talk to us about, just your perspective on that, like preparing your house, and how you've been able to just use that.
Listen, I am learning. I have not mastered that yet. I am learning how to. But yes, you are so right, because again, even like, how do you function in disorder? I wish, oh my gosh, like I'm tongue tied right now. My desk was so bad that literally, long as I had this little section to work out of, I was good. I had learned how to operate in chaos, comfortable chaos. And the house was crazy and out of whack and out of order. And and I'm grateful he shut everything down, because he's been retraining me of how to put everything in order. So then when he releases what is mine, I can contain it.
Awesome.
And not lose my marriage, the children, or anything like that. But I can contain what he has promised me, because of the fact that I had to learn how to manage it all. But first he said, I have got to put you back in your proper place. Not my husband saying that. And he's been asking for stuff for years, like years. Yeah. And he's been gracious enough to be patient enough. And it just came to the point where it was like, okay, obviously the father was like, I got to step in now, because you that hard-headed that you just ain't seeing the picture or listening. We about to shut this down and get this all in order. Why does that make the difference? We know energy flows. So a lot of times as creatives, if you have chaos around you, it stifles your energy. When your energy isn't flowing, you can't be creative. As an entrepreneur, you will not do good. Then that now impacts your money, because now the ideas that are witty inventions, like how can you hear when all you see is chaos constantly around you? So by having an environment that you want to be in, that produces calm and peace, it allows you to function better. Your systems will flow better, and your money will flow better.
That's awesome.
So a lot of times we don't think those things impact us, but you know what it's like when you go into a room and it feels airy and it's bright and it's flowers and different, like your energy is different. Then go to a room and it's dark. Automatically, like your whole body language kind of goes, it's two different things. Well, what makes you think your spouse don't feel the same way? When they walk in the kitchen, this dirty dishes spout high and it smells bad because you done left something in there for a day or two and you don't even know where it is. You know, so it's like, who wants to come home to that? Even if you got used to that. Most men won't. And you know what? There'll be a woman out there who'll be like, baby, I got something for you.
You know it, that part. And I think that's why, unfortunately, that's the reason why good men go, because they get tired of saying it, and then they go. And it's sad, because a lot of marriages can be saved off simple stuff. So I think this is commendable that, we've had this conversation, and the nuggets of wisdom that you shared here today, from all that you've done as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as a mom. It has just been amazing. I've learned so much. You're schooling me, and I'm, just knowing what I need to do in preparation, and, just making sure I'm just maintaining that safe haven and the order, and getting myself right. And all the ladies watching, I'm sure they're thinking the same thing. And so I wanted to know too, how can we get in contact with you for those that, they're like, you know what, Ayoka, we want to talk more with you about this. And I know you're in transition, but if they wanted to reach out to you, what information can we provide for them so that they can get with you?
They can go to bossmomuniv@gmail.com. They can email me there. bossmomuniv@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram at bossmomuniv, and also Janna B Speaks, JANNA B Speaks. If they want to go to my website, they can go to, everything's in transition, but they can go to WeGrindDifferently.com.
Okay.
WeGrindDifferently.com. Yes. And that was a revelation that I had, that as moms, that don't mean we can't be entrepreneurs and moms. We just got to do it differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when they go to WeGrindDifferently.com, I have some free things on there, and then some courses that I think they're still up there as well. But they can contact me. I'm very approachable. Would love to, talk to them. And if they need assistance when I am released and it's coming up real soon, then I'll be able to let them know I can help them better.
Well, thank you so much for this, Ioka. And I know you talked about the book that's coming out, Image of the Mirror book collaboration. So you guys can go to Victorious U Press to see that as well. So I want to promote this book and support Mrs. Ioka and the phenomenal stance that she has taken. I'm telling you, are speaking for all queens. You are representing Proverbs 31. You get it. I'm proud of you and your transition. And I hope the best when, the Father does release you to go back into business, that things just continue to soar and pick up where they are and just go beyond. And so with that said, guys, I'm going to put her information back up here. Her email, bossmomuniv@gmail.com. You can reach her also on Instagram at bossmomuniv. And the website, again, is WeGrindDifferently.com. So you have all the information that you
That's where they can actually purchase WeGrindDifferently.com. And if they do / the image in the mirror, that's where they could purchase the book.
Okay. Excellent. Mm-hmm. So if you do / image in the mirror, image of the mirror or image in the mirror?
The image in the mirror.
Image in the mirror. Okay. So WeGrindDifferently.com / image in the mirror. You will be able to purchase this brand new book collaboration. I'm so excited for you and this book collaboration and your transition and the example that you're setting again. So thank you so much, Mrs. Ioka. And with that said, guys, I just want to remind you this show will be aired again on SoulNet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check it out on www.soulnetwkdh.com to tune in. Okay. And also it will be featured on Swain Girl Media Channel by Mrs. Precious Swain herself on Fire Stick. Okay. Make sure you also hit me up on social media when you get a chance. Also, make sure you look at Mrs. Ioka on social media. Again, thank you so much for this phenomenal show. And do you have any last words for our listeners tonight?
The only thing I would say is, India, thank you so much for this opportunity to have this important conversation. And what I want to leave you with the listeners is this: you do not have to choose between the two. You don't have to choose between your marriage. You don't have to choose between being a wife, or in some cases, some say, I don't even want to have children because that means I got to put the business down. No, you don't. However, you do have to decide how you want to live your life in a way that is fulfilling to you and what you're called to do. And when you start to understand the importance that you are more than a title, that you are more than what you're chasing, and put it in proper perspective, you will understand that you can have it all. You could definitely have it all.
Wow. Well, that's incredible advice. And again, thank you so much for being on the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. And I wish you nothing but the best. Have a phenomenal night. You guys take care. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. And until I see you guys next week, please make sure you follow us on social media and visit all those fantastic pages. Go buy her book. Go buy her book. Image of the Mirror book collaboration. Go buy it. Go buy it. Go buy it. You guys have a great night. Thanks so much, Mrs. Ioka.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.